Decorating Pages is a podcast dedicated to taking you behind the scenes of the designs of your favorite TV shows and films. Each episode, I'll be sharing design stories from some of Hollywood's most famous sets, interviews from set decorators, production designers, directors, and actors about creating the look of TV and film, about their design inspirations, and stories that take sets from page to screen. Hello, welcome to Decorating Pages. I'm your host, Kim Wanna. Happy Halloween! I got a good one for you, a little scary for Halloween. Speaking today with the set decorator of Dahmer, Monster, the Jeffery Dahmer story. We get a little bit into that creepiness of her decorating all that grossness and unfortunateness. But I thought it'd be a good one for Halloween. So, hope you get out there and get some tricks and treats. And it's always, when you work in production, they always sort of try to let you out a little early so that you can go home and trick or treat with your kids, which I always think is really nice because, we all have family. And even if you're just going home to hand out candy, it's just a nice little thing that production usually tries to do in your schedule. So that's nice. I hope I get out early enough. We are being Paw Patrol. I was told I am being Sky, and I think I can pull it off. I got some sunglasses and a mommy Paw Patrol t-shirt, and that's about it. But the boys are super excited to dress up, and I really got into a lot of scary and Halloween viewing this week. I have Peacock, which I'm getting rid of, but before I do, I thought, let me watch all these great old Universal, horror films from they're all like 1931, 35. We watched Dracula and Frankenstein. And the story is not tight, let's put it that way. But I'm so thoroughly impressed when you watch really older films and the sets that they were able to create. And there's this gorgeous staircase in Dracula I have no idea how tall that thing was. There's steps for days. And then as I watched, I feel like they repurposed some sets for Frankenstein, but still just what they had to work with. And even in Frankenstein, all his lab equipment, I was trying to pay attention to that. And the sets were, they're really good. Dracula was designed by John Hoffman and Herman Ross. There was 2 credited and a set decorator, Russell Gassman, and which is odd because they were titled as production designers and not art directors, whereas I also watched Psycho this week, and there are 2 art directors credited, Robert Clatworthy and Joseph Hurley, and then a set decorator, George Milo, the great George Milo. So yeah, got a little scary viewing in this week. And Psycho is so poignant of what the camera allows you to see, and focuses in so much, like that taxidermy, and then when you go up to the house and the God's view looking down when Mrs. Bates comes out of the bedroom and pushes that poor guy down the stairs. I was looking at those rugs, and all I wonder, like even with Dracula, it's almost 100 years ago, but I wonder, are any of those pieces still in the prop houses? And I try to look all the time to see if I see anything. I know William de Blasio, who's been on this podcast, says that he can spot, he has spotted a couple things from Warner Brothers in older movies. So I'm always on the lookout. You never know. The prop houses have such beautiful older pieces. You never know. I finished House of Dragons. I think it got better. The last couple episodes got better. It's no Game of Thrones, but it's good. It's good, and it sets you up for this next season coming. So, production designer Jim Clay and set decorator Claire Nia Richards, the fantastic job. It's just another level to me. The whole Game of Thrones and all of that is just this another level. It's fantastic. I finished The Patient. Remember, I've been talking about This Patient on Hulu with Steve Carell. It's awful. I finally finished it. The ending sucked. I can't even, they must have paid him an enormous amount of money to be a part of this. I don't get it. Production designer Patricio M. Farrell, and then set decorator Lisa Sun. I mean, you got it. That must have been painful to read. But finally finished that. So yeah. I wanted to give a little bit of shout out to which I know I've talked about once or twice before. The Production Designers Collective is a group of production designers who, they have a great website, productiondesignerscollective.org. And it was started by Kalina Ivanov, who has been on this program, and Inbal Weinberg, who I don't know, but I was looking at Art Departmental's Instagram, and she went to Greece. They had this huge get-together or like a retreat in Greece, and it was like the who's who of production designing, and Rick Carter, and oh my god, everyone, and Neil Patel, who we just had on here. And I mean, there were so many people it was like the Mount Washington of production designers. It just looked like a fabulous time to be in Greece and be creative and be inspired. And boy, what a party they must have had. But I'm super jealous that I can't go because I'm not a production designer, so I'm not I can't be in this. But if you are a production designer, look into this, because their website is fantastic with the resources they give and the questions they're asking their members and education of production design to everyone. I'm just always in awe of them. And when I saw that they did this whole Greece retreat, I was like, oh man, what a spectacular way to celebrate and influence our people, our peers, and our people in our industry, and people who want to be a part of it. So again, Production Designers Collective, check that out. Yeah. On this episode, I speak with set decorator Melissa Licht, and we talk about her latest project, Dahmer, Monster, the Jeffery Dahmer story. We discuss how reenacting the serial killer's apartment, his grandmother's home, and especially the victim's home were especially emotionally taxing to research and decorate. Melissa has also decorated the limited series Hollywood, which is on Netflix, period piece in the 40s, and she was nominated for an Emmy for Hollywood. She has also been a part of How to Get Away with Murder, The Kids Are All Right, Seberg, and Ratched on Netflix also. She is a delight, and we have many buyers in common. And so, although we had both thought that we had met, then we discovered we hadn't. So it was super nice to put a face to a name of this wonderful work that I've been watching, and so have you. So it was fun to sit down and chat. And, it's a little gruesome, but happy Halloween. I hope you enjoy.
We hadn't worked together yet. That was pre me and Matthew.
Oh. Pre getting together.
Exactly.
He's a doll.
Oh, God. He is just the most wonderful person and so talented, and just, I love him so much.
He's so talented and so nice, and I love that he lives off in the forest somewhere, this magical place up north, and I said to him, because I talked to him during Hollywood, it was like, it must be nice after getting done with all that and then going to a retreat, just to get away from it all. And he was like, yeah, it is. It's really nice.
Yeah. And he just got back to his retreat yesterday from a year in New York, I think. So he's got to be feeling good today.
What was he doing in New York? Do you know?
He did The Watcher. Or he took over, and then he did the last season of American Horror Story, which they did on Fire Island. So he was very excited to be involved.
Fun. I didn't watch The Watcher yet. I don't know.
It was good. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it more than watching Dahmer, because I could just have fun and not, ever obsess over everything.
Yeah. I read an article about The Watcher, about the real people. And then I was like, okay, maybe I'll watch it now. Because at first it didn't get very good reviews. And I was like, oh, that's weird, because it's number one, but you can never tell.
You can never tell.
What's making everybody watch things. But,
exactly.
I know Ashley loves working with you, and was excited.
I love Ashley so much.
Ashley Rice.
She's one of those, she's great. I call her a ride or die, because just she does not give up until she's happy, knowing that you'll be happy. She's incredible.
Yeah.
I couldn't have survived Hollywood without her and Jane. It was just, I was so lucky to have those two.
So I had those two on Impeachment, and I couldn't have done it either. Jane Madden, who's now decorating too. But
I know.
Yeah, the two of them were so thorough and so into it with me, and so yes, we're gonna find this piece. And I was gonna ask you, do you, having done a real life thing and then something like Hollywood where it's a regular fictional world, do you like trying to replicate things, or do you like making it up?
It can be harder in its own way, because you're trying to be truthful to something and trying to decide what parts matter and what parts you can kind of fudge because you have to. So I think the fantasy is a little bit more creatively freeing, I guess.
Yeah.
And especially with Dahmer, it was the real life stuff was his apartment, which was a crime scene. So it was, it wasn't it was a fun thing to recreate.
No. I saw a part, just the first part of that documentary they did, and they showed his real apartment, and I was like, oh, you nailed it. I mean, you did all those awkward little things he had.
We spent a lot of time, Elise Hannaford, that was her set, and she spent a lot of time. She spent pretty much all of our prep just finding all that stuff. Mm. And we went into that really cocky, just oh, it's a simple table, it's a simple this and that. And we can find these pieces so quickly. But it was really, really hard to find them. And she pointed out later, it was because they were the common things that everyone had and threw away. It wasn't the nice furniture that people saved.
Yeah, it's always the easy things. They're the hardest to find.
Exactly. And we ended up having to make the sofa, make the chair. Alan made that waterfall table for us because we couldn't find one. We thought that would be really easy. It all was just more challenging than we thought.
Isn't it?
As it always is.
But you do capture these elements in there that he had, and then the color palette and everything, which I had run into Matthew when we were on Impeachment, and he said, oh, what's your color palette? And I was like, oh, I think we're in oatmeals and phlegm or something. And he's like, oh, we're in urine. And I was like, okay, that's kind of just how Ryan Murphy works. He gives you a color and you run with it.
Yes. I love that he's so strict with color palettes. And I think because of Brian, like Matthew's become very strict with color palettes, and it makes it like I don't find it more challenging. I find it almost like easier, because you're just like, you know when it will work, you know when it won't work, you know?
Exactly. And that's how he works. Like every set that Jamie McCall presented to him, you know, you give him the little color palette of who this person is. They're in the blues, they're in the purples, they're in the yellows, like, and you know, then we as decorators it's so much easier to know what we're going with, to have that to fall back on. And it made it so much easier with like the time and constraints and scheduling and everything. You just had that to fall back on. It made it not so much easier, but you could fall back on
it. Gives you parameters to work with. Yeah. And exactly, when you have like 2 days to pull a set together, which is very often the case.
Yeah.
And you know it'll work.
Yeah. How was your scheduling on this?
It was challenging. We started off, you know, with a very long prep because we kept pushing because of COVID. So that was nice, because I got to get a lot done in the beginning.
Yeah.
But then once we got going, you know, we had double up days pretty much the whole way through, and our locations were really spread out. So we'd be in Pomona and then San Pedro, and then, you know, we were in Lancaster, and we were just like all over the map. So I definitely felt pulled in a million different directions pretty much for the whole show.
Yeah.
But I had a very, very strong team, so we made it work.
Yeah, I was thinking, because I mean, we were on impeachment and you were doing that, and they really held it a long time to come out. I was like, wow, when is that ever coming out?
I know, that's what we were thinking. We had no idea why, or, you know, he had a plan, I guess. I don't know.
He wanted everything to come out at once so he could be number one, I think.
Yeah, he wanted his like September, October sweep.
Yeah. Which is, you know, a weird time. I feel things that get released more in the spring have more of an Emmy presence. And I think, you know, September, like right after the Emmy, like September, October, I feel like you get forgotten by the time it's Emmy time. So I always think like, ugh, when's this coming out that I'm working on? Ugh, that's the worst time. But you know, I guess he's got it all dialed in, though. I can't really.
Who knows? That aspect of it, I can't.
Do you?
It's too stressful.
So you've done 2 Ryan Murphys or 3?
Yes,
2. How do you
2,
like?
as a decorator.
I've talked to a lot of people who have done Ryan Murphy stuff, and we kind of all say how crazy it is, but we like it in a sense.
Yeah. No, I think it's great. I mean, I feel very lucky because he and Matthew have such a great relationship that I think that makes it sort of like a little bit more seamless than it could be. And I personally haven't had to have much interaction with him, which is great.
Yeah.
You know, Matthew does all the heavy lifting in that regard, and that's great. I think it aids in our success. But it's, you know, he gives you a lot of freedom, and he's very specific in what he's expecting. So I think that's really great. It makes it, you know, very easy. I kind of know going in like what he's looking for in each set, and that, you know, it's pretty straightforward. And always really great sets, you know, like he wants to see things, which is so fun.
Keeping it wide and actually seeing everything.
Exactly.
And the more, and it was, impeachment was rough and hard and crazy. And I have said, I don't think it's because of him. It's this world that's created over there, and living on the edge and living on the schedule, like changing and whatever. It's not him. He was great to work with. The ones he directed were great. You're right. He knows what he wants. He tells you, and that's it. You work with it. And the further I get away from working like that, the more I look back at like the freedoms that we did have in choices and decorating, because we were allowed to do our jobs. Right. Even though the time constraints and everything, and something like Dahmer and Hollywood that's so visual it's nice because you get to
Mm-hmm.
see it. Like then
Right.
you go to other shows and you're like, man, I did that whole set and all they did was lollipop heads. Like they would have
Exactly.
kept it wide for at least 4 seconds on a Ryan Murphy.
Exactly. He like likes to set the tone with the environment, which was so exciting for us because our work
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
gets its limit. Yeah.
So I don't know. So I know I've vowed not to go back to a Ryan Murphy, but I mean, the product looked great at the end. So that's kind of what we're
Totally.
all looking for.
Well, and I think yours was especially hard. I mean, like everyone in town was talking about like, oh my God, Kim had like 75 sets for like the last episode. Like, how did she do it?
Yeah, I don't know, because
Yeah.
I had a great crew. I mean, I had great
Yeah.
buyers. I had like that's just how you get it done. You don't know.
Yeah.
You just do it.
Just do it. Exactly.
Yeah.
Somehow you just do it.
Um, on Dahmer, was there one set or one specific piece that you found like really hard to replicate, or like one set you could like that was just the most challenging?
I think honestly his apartment was probably the most challenging. I mean, others were hard, just time constrictions, like always, like I had to the two victims' families' homes, the Hughes family and the Synthanthem Foam family, we had to dress those houses within the same 2 days, and those
Oh,
were like huge houses,
oh my God.
like full dress, bedrooms, living rooms, dining rooms, kitchen,
Yeah.
exterior, and I had like 2 days to do both of them at the
Ugh.
same time. So that was very challenging, but that was just time constraints. But the apartment was challenging, I think, because it was in the beginning and it was first, and the first episode is pretty much all in that apartment.
Yeah.
And it was so specific and everyone knew, what it looked like. And there was a lot of discussion on like how aged everything should be. And there, it was just sort of like the nervous first day of like, there was a lot of attention on that set, I guess.
Yeah. It's like you're unveiling the big one first day. Like that
exactly,
is a lot.
Exactly. Yeah. And there's all the specifics, like the vat and like the fish tank and, all of his like, knives and skulls and things in the closet and the body parts in the fridge. It was just all that disgusting stuff that we had to talk about so much that, it was a lot of just specifics that were challenging. So I was happy that one was done first.
I worked as a PA on a film about the Wonderland murders, and I remember doing that research, and still being very affected of looking at those crime scene photos, and being on set when they did like and seeing all the blood and everything. It's really hard sometimes. And it was I mean, I've become a real wuss since I've had kids of what I can and cannot watch, because to me now everyone has a mother, and I can't let that out of my mind that this is happening to someone's child. So I, instead of like rushing through Dahmer, I had to take my time because I knew it's really hard. But the effect of seeing all these things and all these things that we have to research really in depth, like I remember going through these pictures, being like helping them, being like, I think that's a pillow, like I don't
right.
But so I mean, how does that affect you when you're deciding your decor?
I mean, it was terrible in its own way, but as we do, you just kind of have to put your head down and just like get the work done. And I tried to just kind of disassociate a little bit from like what we were actually doing. Just like, okay, now we're finding old knives, and now we're finding the rusty pot. And but I do remember like the moment I walked through stage, like after special effects had come in and like put all the blood in the bathtub, like it was really terrible to see that, because it really looked like a real crime scene. And it's you kind of sit with it, how awful and like what really took place in those spaces. It's really terrible.
I did really like in this series that the first couple episodes are like gruesome, or like psychologically, like you're getting prepared, like he's really gonna do this. But then it does take a turn into like the victims, and then like the episode about his family or the episode about his next door neighbor. Like I did appreciate that it was a whole story of the
Mm-hmm.
effect of him, and so it wasn't as like American Horror Story
Right.
gruesome, and I really
Right.
appreciated that it wasn't taken to that level and taken more seriously. And I mean, I just think it's a fantastic series. I don't know if I could watch it again,
Yeah.
but I would tell people to watch it. I just think it's really good, and I do think that, and I always keep thinking of that urine color is so right, and
Mm-hmm.
in the posters and like the wall color, like it's so right that
Mm-hmm.
now you can't think of anything else.
Yeah. Yeah, it was definitely a urine palette for
Yeah.
sure.
At least it wasn't a blood palette.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And the urine palette, like in grandma's house, lent itself to
Yes. Oh
like
my God, the grandmother's house was perfect.
that was one of my
Perfect.
favorites.
Oh my God,
Yeah,
that
that one.
light that hangs between them and the two recliners, so
Mm-hmm.
perfect. Oh my God, I
Thank
love
you.
it. And their light, now was that a location?
No, that was a build.
Oh my God. The
Yeah.
light in the staircase coming down too, I was like, oh, I wonder if that was a location and that was just there. What a find. What a brilliant fixture. I loved it.
I I love thank you. I loved that so much. I found it on Etsy, and because of the way the set was, we had two different landings. We had one,
Oh,
with
right.
yeah. So Matthew and I loved it so much. We're just like, sorry everyone, we're just gonna have to move this light fixture.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Because
just we're gonna have to be on
yeah.
top of it.
Because what will happen is like obviously you're not going to go up, they're not going to build a whole upstairs downstairs, so you build the downstairs and you hang it, and then you have an upstairs and you hang another one so that you can see it. And I remember doing that for Linda Tripp's house, and like it's such a weird thing because you're trying to recreate something, it's never quite the right angle
Right,
or whatever, and
right,
you're
right,
like,
right.
oh yeah, this. Yeah, but I love that fixture. I loved his bedroom in there. I mean, it just you could almost smell Granny's house when you're
Yeah.
watching that.
Well, it did kind of smell like Granny's house because I pretty much dug everything in there out of estate sales.
You
And
should have
so, like,
smelled like mothballs or something.
yeah, it had the smell. It was all legit. I filled every single drawer with weird pens and matchbooks and
Yeah,
whatever else from estate sales. So it was fully Granny's house. Yeah.
yeah. That's another thing for Ryan Murphy. You have to fill every drawer.
Mm-hmm.
Which,
There was one scripted drawer, so I took that drawer very, very seriously.
oh yeah,
I wish I had taken a photo of it. It was one of my favorite drawers ever. And of course, you don't see it, but
doesn't matter. You know it was
yeah,
done. You know it
I
was
spent
there.
like 2 days on that drawer.
Yeah, those are the things you're like, no, it's good. It just makes you feel better. Like
Right.
it's like, all right, I did that. I did that drawer. If anybody
Yeah,
wants to open that drawer, it's you
it's
can
ready
open
to
it.
go.
Did you do any location work like in
Yeah.
out in where was it? Detroit? Was it Detroit?
Oh,
No,
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 I'm
no.
missing
No,
it.
it was all here.
It was all
Yeah.
here. Oh,
It was all
wow.
here. Yeah, it was a lot in Pomona at RSI.
Mhm.
And then the courthouse and stuff was the courthouse in Pomona. So exteriors in Pomona and San Pedro, and the prison was in Lancaster. I'm sure I'm forgetting some. This was like 2 years ago now, but
Yeah,
it's
right.
all kind of a blur. A year ago, yeah.
What was it? What was in San Pedro?
In San Pedro, we did the like record store. A lot of the stuff for episode 6 with him and Tony Hughes. So there was like a pawn shop. A lot of the stuff got cut. There was a pawn shop. There was a record store. We did some of the courthouse was there. So all the different courtrooms that we saw were in San Pedro.
Yeah,
It
that's really like anyone knows Los Angeles, those are the opposite ends of the world to go from Lancaster to San Pedro.
Mhm.
That's a good 2-hour drive probably on a
Yeah.
good day.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
trucking
I think
and
my darkest memories from Dahmer were dressing that prison. That was not a fun week.
was it active?
No,
No.
but there were guards there still, no prisoners. I don't know what the guards do all day, but they work there still.
That's weird.
But they wouldn't let us drive our cars in there at all. So it was so spread out, and we had so many different little beats all over the whole prison that it was like logistically very challenging, and it was really hot, and it was really windy, and it was dusty, and it was just, all of it was terrible.
Ugh, I hate that.
Yeah.
I think I've shot in 2 prisons. But one was active, but the wing wasn't active.
Mm-hmm.
And then one was shut down. But it's creepy. It's creepy. So creepy. And
yeah, I'm really happy that I've made good life choices, and
yeah.
I don't ever have to go there.
But then I feel like I was in when you go in the cell, I'm kind of like, right, if I had to, I mean, maybe I could do this, like get my own little private space, and I might be all right. I don't know.
But then you go check out the bathrooms.
Oh, yeah.
No, thank you.
No. Showers and such. No, thanks.
Yeah, no thanks.
How I saw that you're doing a series now that looks completely opposite. Like completely like it looks like the new Euphoria or something. It's like super hot, trendy, hot people. I think doing drugs and being cool. That's what I got from the trailer. How is it? What's it called?
It's called The Idol.
The Idol.
Yeah, and I finished in August. They're still doing reshoots, which I did not go back for. I was on that project for a full year, and we shot almost 6 full episodes, and then they decided to start from scratch. So then we went back and they did some like rebranding, some, sort of changed the look of the show, and then worked on 4 episodes. Still didn't complete that by August, and we're going to come back for reshoots, and I just stepped away. So
I saw the trailer and thought, wow, this is something completely different. It looks awful to work on, but it looks cool because it just looks like sporadic, high-end, trendy, cool shit. And I it's just like, well, that's all location work. That's all us. Like, they're not building any of this shit. That's what conveyed to me just from watching the trailer of it. But it's HBO. I feel like, well, they got the money. I don't know. So
yeah. I'm really proud of the work that went into what we call like phase 1, the phase that no one will see, unfortunately. So yeah, there was a lot of really great sets we did for that, and it was high end as well, but it had kind of a different look to it, and there was a lot more like character sets that we got to do, and like a whole Vanity Fair office, and there was some cool sets we did for that. But phase 2 kind of went a little kooky. So
isn't it? I mean, I was always talk about like how crazy it is of how much money we waste, of like how you can just keep shooting and shooting and shooting and then be like, oh, never mind, let's start over.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's a little crazy. This one's a little crazy. I could say more, but I'll just say it was.
Well, how about do you know Ethan Goodwin?
Yeah, I think we've met like once in a prop house, but we've never actually worked together. I'd love to work with him. He's
amazing. He's the best.
I've heard. Yeah.
He was on a film for 7 months, and then they just shut it down. Like 7 months of prep, and they didn't do anything. And then he's like, yep, never shot a frame. Worked here. He went to Cleveland. He was supposed to go to Atlanta. Like Marvel. I don't know. Like, I guess we're just burning through money now. I don't know what we're doing.
Exactly.
I know my show's burning through money. I don't know. They all seem to, but then they want to, then they want that budget.
Right.
Like, well, I can give you all the budgets I want, but you keep changing the schedule. I don't know what to tell you.
I know.
I have to have everything ready now. So, yeah. How about any fond memories of Hollywood?
Hollywood, I have a lot of fond memories.
Yeah.
I also have a lot of like, I might throw up today
memories.
um, Matthew and I had done Ratchet together, and I was the buyer, and we sort of like moved up together to do Hollywood. So it was my first job as a decorator, and
God, I don't know how you did that.
it was a little terrifying.
Yeah.
And again, if it wasn't for Jane and Ashley, I might have gone home crying every day. But we were a solid team, and those girls were so supportive. And it was a hard job, and especially as my first, it was very challenging.
I mean, the period aspect alone and how much prep that needs, and it's killer. It's killer for getting all those sets ready. And they were beautiful and huge, huge sets you had.
They were huge. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I will tease Matthew about this forever, but I literally had one day to dress Schwab's drugstore.
Oh my God.
It was so hard. And it was just because it was one of those things where they moved up in the schedule and he wasn't ready. So he had to quickly finish building. And they were like finishing painting. And I like came in at 7 that morning, and we dressed from we had, my lead did it like a split crew, and we dressed from like 7 a.m. until 11 p.m. I think.
Oh my God.
It was a really hard day.
Have you ever told, not jokingly, have you ever told the producers it's not going to be ready?
No.
I have. I just did it. And they didn't care.
Good for you.
Well, they didn't care. They still shot it. And I was like, it's not ready. I'm not ready. I'm not done here.
Right.
And they were like, well, it shoots at 7. Like, okay, well, it's not ready. So they're like, we're only going to shoot this angle. Okay, right, then why'd I have to do all this shit if you're only going to shoot this angle? Like, why? So, yeah, it was really frustrating, everything. And I think there's many times that we all say, like, it's not going to be ready by then. And you kind of, like, jokingly say it, or, like, you push through. Mm-hmm. But this was literally the first time that I've ever seriously said to a producer, it's not going to be ready to shoot. I'm not joking. I gave him like a week heads up because I could see it coming.
Right.
And kept him posted, and we still shot it. But they only shot little angles because it wasn't ready. Right. But no one was mad. No one, everyone understood because they pulled it up and whatnot. But I don't know. This is where we are now, I guess.
I know. It is where we are now. It seems to just, not that I have a ton of experience, but it just, every job seems to get a little bit harder.
It is.
And you always just get those frantic phone calls like, what if we moved this till 2, like, can you do it? And I'm, maybe, hopefully soon I'm brave enough to just say no, but I'm always like, okay, sure.
Well, I don't know if it's bravery, but I think I've just become, I want set protection. I don't want to put out unfinished sets. I don't want to do this. Then why am I here? So, even as rough as like the Ryan Murphy was, and yes, there's so many times that the schedule changes and you only have 2 days or you only have this, that we still got it done. There was still like construction, everyone was on the same page to get it done. But when there's a breakdown and like it's not going to happen, you're trying to be realistic with people. So why are you're not asking me, can this shoot on Tuesday? You're telling me this is going to shoot on Tuesday.
Right.
You're not
whether you're done or not, whether you like it or not.
Yeah. What do you find like the hardest challenge of being a set decorator?
I mean, all of it.
All of it, yeah.
I mean, for me, it'll always be the budgeting. I'm just so bad at it. I don't know how to get better at it. I don't know how to. I'm just not a numbers person, so that part is really, really hard for me. And that's the main thing I ask everybody is like, how do you do your budgets? Like, do you have any tricks for me? Tips and tricks.
Every living room is 12,000. That's what I started.
Right. Right. So yeah, that will always be a challenge. And then I've been so lucky to work with really, really great people, but I think, like trying to be like a leader, whatever that means, just like trying to communicate well and get what you need out of people is a challenge, and it takes way more energy than I was expecting going in, so just trying to be the most communicative you can to get the results you want, I think is always a challenge.
Yeah, being in sync with the designer is so key.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to have good construction. you have to have
Mm-hmm.
good you have to have other, good graphics. Like, it all really has to work together. It's so crazy. And then it spreads out. Like, you have to have a good, lighting department. You have to have a good grip. Like, it all so has to work together for all of us. And it seems like meetings and emails are just so abundant. And I don't,
Mm-hmm.
it used to never be like this. Like, it would just be like one meeting or something. There's to
Right.
be, all right, now it's 2 meetings. Now it's like 7 meetings.
Right.
And the demands, especially with Decorator, because there's usually one of us,
Mm-hmm.
is ridiculous. And almost thank God for Zoom, because half the time I'm Zooming in my car.
Totally. Listening in an ear while I'm pulling smalls at a prop house.
Yeah.
I've done that many
And
times.
I can't fully pay attention to prepping this episode because I'm still drowning on this one.
Right.
So that's one of my biggest challenges, is like, used to have this devotion to prepping or dressing, and now everything's happening all at once all the time.
Mm-hmm.
It's just
Yeah.
really hard.
Yeah. And I'm really bad at, working on the weekends for free because I
Oh,
want a good jump on the next week. I always do it. I always say I won't do it. And then come Sunday, I'm just like, I just want to figure this
yeah.
out. So I'm not like stressing about Monday morning. And
No, I have a real want to have boundaries. And I'm super pissed when, like, a coordinator emails me at 2 p.m. on a Saturday, some drawing or something. Like, I'm not on. First of all, why are you why are you sending this out? Or and then I just then I try not to do it, and then I just let them pile up. And then, like, Sunday night, then you have to prep Sunday night.
yeah. Yeah.
That's always been part of it. But it's ridiculous the amount of, like, emails that come in when you're not working.
Mm-hmm.
And especially, when we're off production, so we work sort of normal hours. Let's just say 6 to 6 we're
Yeah.
supposed to be on. But if
Right.
they're shooting till 11 o'clock at night and we don't get a call sheet till 10:30 at night, and they've changed something or whatever, it's always like, oh, God, if I had gone to bed and I didn't see this, I would have woken up in a panic. Or I would have had a better night's sleep. Like, I shouldn't have looked at it. Like,
Totally.
I should have saved myself. But yeah, so you're always on. As a decorator, you're always on. And it sucks. And I don't know how to change that, because
I don't know either, because I just like absorb myself in it. I can't turn it off. I'm always like thinking about it.
Yeah. I also need to know how you got into this. Why did you get into this?
Why did I get into this? I don't know. I was like interested in interior design and like didn't really know what to do. And my dad's an AD, so I kind of knew this was a job, but never had really thought about it. And then one day I kind of was just like, maybe I'd like to do that. And this was like when I was 30. It's like, yeah, I don't really have a career. I don't know what I'm doing with my life. Maybe. So I just, I got a job as a PA on a commercial. And my first job ever was with Christy McIrwin, who was an amazing decorator, and now a very good friend. And she was so incredible and kind of taught me the ropes. And I just kind of knew right away. I was like, yeah, this is great. I love this.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I did commercials until I got into the union, and then was lucky enough to work with Claudette Deitel, who's incredible.
Oh, yeah.
And then Matthew. And I became a decorator way earlier than I was planning, which I think was why I was so nervous on Hollywood. But
I think it was meant to be.
Great.
I
Yeah,
think
it was meant to be. I love it.
Yeah, you got thrown into the fire quickly, so now
Exactly.
there's no going back.
Yeah, exactly.
And I mean, even being a buyer on like really great things like Ratchet, I mean that whole like I couldn't get through Ratchet. I got to be honest. I got up to, I got up to the part where like they were scolding the people in the bathtub, and I was like, you know what, I'm out. I'm out.
I've seen
sets.
I remember when that script came out, and all of us, especially Judy Becker, who was the production designer, she was just like, I didn't sign up for this show. Like, I thought this was going to be like glamorous, and like it's so we didn't know it was going to take that gory turn. And gorier and gorier.
I was like, oh, I get the sets. I got this brilliant color palette and the costumes and everything. I get it. I don't have to. I can't watch.
Yeah, this. Exactly.
So I don't even know what happened, but yeah, the whole like sex dungeon or whatever was going on down there in that jail cell, and like I don't know.
I forgot. Yeah, I've forgotten about most of that.
I mean that gorgeous drapery in the office and the waiting room, like that was magnificent.
Yeah,
it was so stunning.
Regina Henderson did all that drapery.
Oh yeah, she's so great.
Incredible.
Yeah, she's great.
Yeah, but yeah, that was a great project to do, and I feel like that one because it was so intense and there was so much going on, and Jen Harris, who was the other buyer, we really got to take a lot of liberty with a lot of the sets because it was just like it was so busy and so crazy, and Matthew is just so trusting, and he really is just like gives you freedom to like make some decisions with him, which is incredible. So I think it was like on that show where I was like, okay, maybe I can do this, maybe.
Well, you were doing it. I mean, at a certain point, there's so many sets you have to chip in. Like we depend on the buyers to chip in as much as we can. Totally. And I know that that's a whole discussion too with like assistant decorating and everything. And I think it's becoming very important to have that, because even now I asked to bring on a second decorator. I can't handle it. It's too much. I can't do it. And, there is an option, like either it's a second decorator or the buyers have to become assistant decorators. Like there has to be something. Yeah, I need help here. And they were on board and helping, and we did bring on another decorator, but it's so many sets in so little time. You can't be there for every single thing. And so we do depend so much on great buyers to be able to step up a little. It's fantastic. And I think that's why you're in it. You know what I mean? That's why you're there. Yeah. I don't know if I've ever had a buyer who didn't like to dress. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
You got all this shit.
What was your plan with it?
Yeah. I love to have the buyer there when I'm dressing, because I forget what I have, or someone like Ashley's like, where is this? I bought this. Or like I have Katie Shirey on now. I bought this on eBay. This is the date it was delivered. It's in this box. Where is it? And I'm like, hey man, I don't know. Like it'll show up. Like, because I forget. I got too much. They have 6, 7, 8 sets, but I have 20 sets. Like, exactly. So I need them. I need their brains. Their fresh brains. But yeah. How was The Kids Are All Right? Because that was a period show in the 60s.
Yeah,
was that fun? Yeah,
it was really fun. It was really good energy. Like the kids on that show were super fun. Yeah. It was just like a really nice, fun group. Yeah. And I came in a little later. Like Karen Marcus did the prep with Claude, and I came in after that. Me and Karen just kind of like split that show, so it felt like a little bit more like low key in a way, you know. I kind of came in when like it was mostly done, and then did a few more of the sets that were coming up for the next episodes. But it was a really fun show.
I have a friend, I think she was the first AD, Susie Flower, She like loved that show, and Randall Einhorn, I know, was a part of that, who I knew from Parks and was always so nice. Just one of the nicest directors to work with.
Yeah.
How was because I'm like a dork fan. How was Paris Barclay to work with as a director?
He was awesome.
Was he?
He was so awesome. Yeah, he's really funny. He's really direct. Scouting with him was a blast.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, I know. I really enjoyed him. All the directors on Monster were really, really great.
Oh, nice.
But yeah, I liked him a lot.
Yeah.
And I was on How to Get Away with Murder with Claudette as well, so I didn't really talk to him then. But
he was on. Oh, that's sweet.
Yeah.
We should have been like, "Don't you remember me?" Hey, man. What's up? I do like working with different directors every episode or whatever. I mean, and it's funny because that we're in a position where we work with so many directors. Like, I don't think anybody really gets that they come into our home kind of and direct and everything. So it is nice that they bring like this fresh perspective kind of sometimes that I always like enjoyed. So I like working with different directors and seeing what they're gonna do, and and then seeing what they're not doing, and like, oh, did you read this? Like, did you prep this? Yeah. But yeah, and some really strong directors. That's always nice too. Like someone who like knows that script, and you're like, all right, damn, man. All right, I'm still working on another episode. Give me a minute.
Right. I don't remember that part. Yeah,
I'm not on your shit yet, man. Settle down. Are you taking a break now?
I've had a little bit of a break. I'm starting a movie in a couple weeks.
Oh, fun.
Yeah. Oh, and you've worked with her, Erin McGill. You did Moxie with her.
Oh, yes. Right? Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I've never worked with her, but she seems great.
Yeah, Moxie was fun. It was like, like no pressure, no, like it was like high school, teenage. Yeah, that was great. It was fun. I liked it. Well, that's fun. That'll take you for a while. That's nice.
Yeah. I have a hard time with time off as well. I never know what to do with myself. It's something I need to get better at. You're a mother, so that's not a problem for you.
I never really have off now. Right. I cherish your time off because
I try to. The first week is always incredible. And then by week 2, I'm like, oh, will I ever work again? What am I doing?
I used to, because I did TV for so long, and you kind of knew your little hiatus, and then you'd go back to work. So I was like, all right, I'm calling everyone I ever worked with, and I'm having drinks. We're meeting up. Like, I was always, I have to applaud myself because I don't do it now, super good at keeping in touch with everyone and just trying to catch up and hear what everybody's done. So that's always what I tried to do.
Yeah.
And then take a vacation for myself because I was exhausted all the time. But yeah.
Yeah. The mental break is necessary.
You need it.
Yeah, for sure.
Are you watching anything that you find inspiring?
What am I watching? Well, I just finished The Watcher.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, I enjoyed that. I'm not really watching anything good right now. I can't think of anything.
No. Housewives?
Yeah, I don't. What?
Housewives?
No, not Housewives. I did just start Love is Blind season 3, which isn't the greatest television.
Oh, but I get you.
Does the job sometimes.
Hey, I've been watching Sister Wives for like 17 years. I don't judge anyone.
Yeah. Oh, and I really love the reboot of Unsolved Mysteries. I watched the first one.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I think it's in season 3 now.
Is that on Netflix?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God.
Yeah. It's like not cheesy anymore. It's like really well done, really great documentary, Really
Is it good. The same theme song? Because that's all I hear in my head right now is that thing.
I'm not sure. It might be just in the beginning. I don't remember.
It was like Richard Stack, and it was like this creepy theme song that used to freak me out. So I never
It
watched
might
it.
be. Yeah.
I'll have to check it out and see.
Yeah, it's good though. It's good. Way more serious.
Nice. Well, I always recommend to people, because I got on the boat very late, is What We Do in the Shadows.
Oh yeah, I haven't watched that yet.
I found it really funny,
Yeah.
surprisingly, and just quirky, and like throw it on. They're like half-hour episodes. Like,
Right.
I zoomed through all the seasons. I
Yeah,
tried to
yeah.
pace myself, but
Right.
yeah.
Oh, and I just finished Bad Sisters. That was so good. Have you seen
What's
that?
that?
It's Irish. It's on I think it was on Apple. But it's about like a group of sisters, and one of the sisters has like a really bad husband, and I don't want to give it away, but it's really good.
It is on Apple. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just finished The Patient.
Oh, I haven't seen that yet. I've heard that's
Don't.
good. No.
Don't. What a letdown that was. It was not. Don't.
Okay.
I mean, I know I've shouted out to people who do the sets, but the stories, I don't even know how Steve Carell must have had to do a favor for someone. I don't know why he agreed to that shit, but it was awful. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I watch so much TV and then I can't think of what I watch.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
I'm gonna let you go. Thank you for doing this. See, it wasn't painful. We did good.
No, not at all. No. Thank you so much for having me.
See, that was a pleasant conversation about some gruesome sets and decorating. As her and I kept talking, and one of the things she told me was that Monster is actually an anthology series and will be continuing with, she thinks, other serial killers. And so I was unaware of that. I thought that Dahmer was like a one-off, but I guess like an American Crime or American Horror, now Ryan Murphy has Monster. So that's interesting. I mean, I've gotten away, as I said, from my infatuation with serial killers. But it's so well made as these series are, and so much of streaming and content is so well made now that the stories are so good that it's so intriguing to watch. And so, yes, I know I said never do another Ryan Murphy, but as I said, that it's so well done that you want to be a part of things like this. She was a delight. And again, we have shared buyers, Ashley Rice, Jane Madden. We could not get our work done without the help and strength of these buyers who, deep dive with us into these characters and pull out these details that make our sets great. And, I find that if you push a buyer to get more and more, they'll push you to decorate more and more. Like it's very hand in hand, and I'm super appreciative for the buyers that I've had and that I still have. Thankfully, I'm with Ashley again on For All Mankind. So yeah, I just wanted to give them a shout out because they work really hard and they help us so much. So yeah. I have no idea what's coming up in November. I do know that by the end of the year, I will have hit 100 episodes. So I'm wondering if you have a favorite. If you have a favorite interview that you have enjoyed on this podcast, if you would let me know, just email me at kimwanup@decoratingpagespodcast.com. Fantastic. You can always reach me through the social media, Decorating Pages on Instagram or Facebook group or the website, Decorating Pages Podcast. I would really love to know what interview you enjoyed or if anything has stuck out to you. So that would be great. I hope you got an earful. I'm Kim Wanup for Decorating Pages. Float 'em if you got 'em. It's not quite pool season, but you still deserve a relaxing float on a Stogie Floaty. Stogie Floaty Luxury Pool Float, available now on Etsy and stogiefloaty.com.
Welcome to Pro Tips for the Pros, brought to you by Floor & Decor Bailey's Crossroads. In this series, we'll explore essential advice for professional contractors to deliver outstanding renovation results. Let's dive in. After completing the renovation, follow up with the customer to ensure their satisfaction and address any remaining concerns. Provide maintenance tips and guidance to help them preserve the results of the renovation for years to come. Thank you for joining us for this pro tip on planning thorough renovations. Stay tuned for more expert advice brought to you by Floor & Decor Bailey's Crossroads.
A lot of people tolerate ordinary. Ordinary bathrooms, kitchens, entryways. Well, not on your watch. If you're a pro, you've got a new partner in town. Floor & Decor. From tile to wood to stone, Floor & Decor has more styles and job lot quantities of Schluter, Mapei, Laticrete, and other brands pros trust. Come see a whole new way to wow with Floor & Decor. Coming soon to Bailey's Crossroads.